Margarethe Vestager is probably one of the most well-known European commissioners, heading the competition commission here, going after the likes of Amazon, Google, Facebook over the last 9 years. Now she's looking for a new position to head the European Investment Bank. She's one of several candidates, and we have her here with us today. Ms. Vestager, welcome. I want to first begin by asking, you have such a high profile as it is. Everyone, or I should say a lot of people, if they know any European commissioner, they're likely to know you for going after these big tech titans. Why change jobs?
Well, the European Investment Bank allows you to put your money where your mouth is. All these strategies that we have, that it actually happens on ground. So I think it's a rare chance of making sure that things are actually happening. We have the strategies, we have the targets, but we also need something to happen that people can see that change is really coming.
You've said that you want the EIB to be faster, to raise its profile somewhat from the past years. What do you mean by that exactly? Can you give us examples?
Yeah, I think right now it takes more than a year and a half, maybe more on average, before you have a lending agreement. And that means that someone who has another option, they go somewhere else, and those who must wait, they then wait. And that is not satisfying. You want equal treatment. You also here want, a fair chance for everyone. So the bank needs to be faster while maintaining the quality of its work. Because, we're in a hurry. Europe has challenges in infrastructure, in energy, in our green transition. So, of course, the bank needs to be there for the people who need the financing.
I mean, you see this potentially as a high-profile position in the coming years because of those challenges you mentioned, as well as the reconstruction of Ukraine. You just touched on energy. One of the big questions here is whether the EIB will finance nuclear projects. This seems to be a sticking point for France in particular. We know how seriously they've depended on nuclear energy. What do you say to that?
Well, it's for every country to decide their own energy mix. Some have chosen nuclear, some have chosen not to have nuclear. That I respect in full. It's your right. The bank should not be a political fighting ground, because then you get distracted from your mission to invest where investments are needed. I'm completely pragmatic. If there is a European approach to say, well, we should finance nuclear, well, we should do that, but it should not be for the bank to take a side in that decision. Because just as well as some are really in favor, some are really, really against it. And I think that is for a political discussion and not for a bank to decide.
Well, the bank made a decision several years ago to end financing for fossil fuel projects. Is that something that's also out of its portfolio, so to say? If nuclear is something that should be decided on a European level and not by the bank, could the same apply to that decision under an EIB run by you?
Well, we have investment in Europe in fossil fuels because we have a lot of buildup of LNG terminals in order to get the necessary gas. We need gas for the transition. It's much lighter when it comes to carbon dioxide, so it exists. It's part of the energy mix. The bank is a climate bank, and it needs also to help the transition into that. And here you need to discuss with the investors in the bank and the politicians who set the goal for us. And I don't want to be, the czar of the bank. I want to be the one who leads the bank and to enable, a discussion that can create new compromise, because this is who we are in Europe.
You're here in Germany meeting with political leaders to try and find support for your candidacy. The current president is German, in fact, and this bank has been criticized in the past for being a little bit too conservative with its projects. You say you want to speed things up, take a little bit more risk in some ways. Is that a hard sell in this country in particular?
Well, actually, I don't think so, because there are two sides to risk. You should know what risk you're taking. You should have risk management processes. But we see that there is a hole in the market. Take, excellent startups. They have their prototypes. They are doing things that are amazing, but they need to go to industrial scale. Maybe they need 35, 50 million euros. That hole in the market is filled by foreign investors. Maybe Europe should be there as well, private and the EIB investing together. That kind of investment is more risky, but we need it, so shouldn't we take that risk?
As I mentioned at the beginning, you have one of the highest profiles of EU commissioners given your fights with big tech. Does that help your candidacy or does it hurt it?
Well, it gives a choice for the decision makers about who should lead that bank. Do they want someone with a profile who have taken some of the fights over the last 9 years, or do they want someone else? And I think that's good, that there are something to choose between, because then, of course, also our leaders, they send a signal about what do we want with this bank.
Margarethe Vestager, thank you very much.
It was my pleasure to be with you. Thank you very much for having me.